So, hey, Heads, I'm Lucy, and I'm back with some online interviews, and I'm having the pleasure to interview tonight on Matters the Law, the Oriental Funeral Doom Band Tears of Fire. So, welcome, Magus, Faustoos. So, my first question is: you have released the new EP called Anata some days ago. So, can you speak a little bit about it and how has been the reaction of media and fans so far?
Greetings, Lucy. Thanks for having me and us, Tears of Fire. We are really honored to be in your show and have a conversation. Anata was our latest release, going more depth to the love Oriental songs as the album before. As you know, the style we do is Oriental doomish style, but our theme is love songs. So we start to cover love songs from like 150 till 200 years before. Back in Iranian classical music, try to move them to the doom style. That's the thing. That's the last two albums all about. But in Anata, we move more to the Buddhist traditional direction, which is talking about soul, which talking about attachments of level, how the human, the way they design and how we can perceive it. So it's a bit more technical about Buddhist direction we took in this album. And there are monadies, there are like funeral songs. They have like two content. One is the old folk love song.
Mm-hmm.
We try to dig from the history. Another dimension to it is a funeral song. When you enter the funeral or there is a ceremony for that or the ritual, they use certain thema, certain beats and certain lyrics. So we try to recreate, represent and reorganize in a more doomish style as it is. Like we are a doom metal band. So the goal for us to express the eventual of the word doom that we are researching.
Mm-hmm. Wow, really, really interesting. So a pre-order for the vinyl version of this EP was also released, yeah, and the link for it is on the description of this video if you guys who are watching want to support the band, of course. So by the way, could you speak a little more about the conceptual idea for the EP? You kind of told a little bit about it, but do you have more ideas to share with us?
Angle we have regarding the doom scene, regarding the word of doom and how it could apocalypse the human soul. That's our theme. And the basic layer we face is a love. For us to have the best concept to describe the doom version was love. Dig really into the history and we found we can call it dark love. That spread such an energy, such a motivation through the human soul. I mean, let me correct that. When we're talking about the soul through the Buddhist traditional teachings, there is no soul. Anata tried to represent the doctrine, which is there is no soul. We are soulless if we wanted to find our correct path as an entity. This topic is a bit complicated because the end of the layer of the Buddhist teaching, which we are practicing it. And you know, the Buddhist is one of the ism back in the traditional Iranian empire, Dalai. In the end, you need to find the correct path to understand the world, understand yourself. Anatta means no soul, means there is no dedication to what we're referring to. So there are conspiracies around it, delicately expressed. We are kind of robots which develop through the time because from the childhood, depend how your attitude is, you are programmed. In the old Buddhism traditional, they teach the child from the year zero. Even the parents planned and program and learn how to develop a child 20 years before. So there is a certain program for the behavior, for the creating a new soul or new man. When the baby comes, they have a specific determination and goal. Then from the time 0 till 5, they start the teaching. So they program your brain how to perceive the world because now we're living in really populated, dirty signal. So review we have from the world is really complicated. And the Buddhists experience that. They try to minimize that in a level of human, as a level of correctness, easiness, no pollution. They have this doctrine, anatta. So if you Google it, if you read many books about it, that's enlighten you from the human soul perspective, which many of the dirty events like war, like executions, like crazy rules, religions in general, they build on the soul that we're talking about, which doesn't exist.
Okay, well, I love it. So cool. Yeah, really, really nice, really nice. These interactions and connections, yeah, that explains a lot of things. We go through this belief or this or following this path, of course. Really nice. Okay, so now speaking about the members of Tears of Fire, you, Magus, Faustoos, on bass guitar from Iran, yeah, and
Right.
then we have Shahrukh Rivan on piano, synth, mantra from Chile. Martin on the drums from Sweden, and Barbara from Germany. You are all based in Berlin, but the band is originally from Iran. It's really clear to see how rich is the interaction of different nationalities and cultures among the band's members. So how have you guys met each other, and how does the metal scene in Berlin affect or contribute to the band?
The band formed in 1997 back in Iran. I was living there after my studies, and that was my first project to establish. In 1998, we come with the first demo, and we had like two shows in Iran, we end up in jail.
Yeah, that's one of my questions, by the way.
Because Iran as a term, I mean, we can talk about many others, but as a current situation, you are aware. The people is try to find their freedom, because we are captured by the crazy terrorist guy, and then we don't have a land. Even the name Iran is erased, and now they refer it as Islamic Republic, which is totally crazy. So I'm sure every viewer was hearing about this new Iranian revolution, and based on female, based on women energy, which in shamanism we believe women is the most basic element of every shamanistic path, and in a political way. And these days it turned to revolution, and this is so fantastic news. In the Islamic rule, music is forbidden. You hear that, or you read it in the Sharia law. When you play music where you engage in a band, you are criminal, so they can sentence you to death. That's a basic. And then I don't have much info about this reaction, so I form a band. I have like international people in the first lineup. My guitarist was from Sweden. I have some vocalists from Armenia, from Turkey, from Kurdistan, from Australia. There was a really colorful lineup, because I mean, Iranian artist community is so colorful. The first two shows we did, it was really bad and harassment. We end up in jail. Some of the members saying, we want to live, we don't want to come for suicide. This is not the place we should do the music. So they gave up and left, which is correct. You can choose any path, through your understanding of life.
Yes.
The project stopped. I moved out to India as a refugee, because I'm reaching to my death sentence in Iran, so there was no chance if I be there, otherwise I will be executed.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, music is forbidden, so now you have some understanding about okay.
And now I have all understanding how much people support you, and not only you, but some Iranian artists that I have seen already in Doom scene, that they are so supported internationally. Now I understand why.
It's really difficult to have a picture or name or concert or album. It's like suicide. It's totally suicide. Only the people with the huge passion could do that, because for music you need to have a dedication. You need to believe in it. It's not just, we don't have such a things like hobby or fun. It's the path, it's the job. I moved to India, which I formed other projects, and when I back to Germany in 2012, I said something is missing, because Tears of Fire is based on doom metal. They have some folkish elements on it. So at the beginning, we tried to go to some region. Iran is a huge country. The old version is bigger than Europe. The short version, which is divided, through these years, is literally near size of the Europe. So we have many big regions, and if each region has a folkish theme, dialect, even the language. If you go to the north, the musical accent will change. In the funeral, they play different themes, different beats. When you come to the south, it's completely different. West, you name it. So we try to go to these regions and find the old motif folk song and bring it to more doom style. That was the beginning of the project. Later in Germany, I asked Shahrukh to play drum, and I play bass, but my bass is also a bit special because I put the cello strings on it, and I used distortion guitar. It has such a folkish classic feeling through it. It's not the original bass guitar. They have such a motivation of variations. We try to go ahead and bring these old folk songs and love songs and the funeral songs and try to make it as slow as possible. possible. We're talking about 30 BPMs, it's like painful slow, 40 BPMs, which is like burning, inside, like painful burn, I call it. We try to practice, rehearse, and recorded more songs and release more EPs, demos. When we visit a university in Germany, in Berlin, I met Martin there. So Martin already has another band, Black Sadhu, which they are psychedelic doom. I found the connection. It was more, intuitive. He joined, and then Charu go to the synth, piano, keyboard. So we add the oriental touch, flavor, because in the oriental scales, we use different notes and notations. So we need someone to give those hints. With trio, we go ahead. Barbara, also from Germany, she's a brilliant musician. She plays viola, violin, and some crota, which is the pagan version of viola, which is more folkish from the Germany. So we took her in, and then we try to develop all this feeling. And for me, it was really nice because all the members has an Indian background into the spiritual way. They visited, they studied, they know the folkish Indian background. So it was really plus and plus. We are just gathering and start writing the songs and develop this theme through this albums, EPs, live concerts, and so on. Yeah.
Wow, it wasn't really luck then that you could find people so connected to the team.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
Wow,
yeah.
good. So, Realize Ovation Love album was released in 2021, in the middle of the pandemic crisis around the globe. So did you have enough attention with that release? Could you speak more about that album, the conceptual ideas around the lyrics?
Particular album was just love songs. If you see the lineup, there are like only love songs, and we try to more specific it in that term. There was a good attention of media, which I try to capture each one and post it as archive in a Facebook. Yeah, we got a contact with the Austrian record label, Grazil, releasing it in a tape and a CD. It was really successful. I mean, the Corona time doesn't affect us because we were active, we were recording in a studio, we were rehearsing. Basic theme is love songs, which some people come after show or some review ask, what was the theme? Because it was so delicate, but in a sense painful. I said, you understand it correct, because it was all love songs. So you got it correct. And it was really good news for me to hear that, because love has also the other deep dark side. A human is not easy. We are really complicated. Try to have an attachment. The combination of attachment and feeling, understanding, they are combined love. And when ancient talk about love, how they see it, how they can die for it, it's difficult term to talk about it, which these days is forbidden art. As a love, we say is forbidden art, because now we are not that era. We can love something, the whole meaning and layers change, and now we have a different modern perspective of love, which is not healthy for society and humanity.
Yep, you got attention then with that for sure.
Of course, yeah.
All right. Okay, so the next question would be about this harassment situation but I believe you have already explained it. I don't know if you have something more to tell. If not, I can go to the next question.
I have some colleagues back then, or some friends, they executed, they are dead. And for me,
I'm sorry to hear that.
It's reality. That moment, I need to clear with myself what I'm doing. Am I going to be the next? So I need to choose the path, because that's the reality. And they are not joking. They are brutally murder people. It just pushed me to the meaning of doom metal for me, because in Europe, there is a different definition about doom metal. It's more fantasy. I don't have any connection through that scene. Even in some festivals, we play with some doom metal. It was doom festivals. The main theme was like fantasy. We are not related to fantasy. We're talking about real stuff. There was also some obligation. Some record labels reject us for some festival, and they say, you're not playing doom, you're not playing something else. I say, I understand your point. The doom has different meaning for us. We try to bring that meaning. The music we play, our experience from the doom, as we are doomed in this culture, in this society. They destroy us, So the funerals we have, it has a different theme. It's a different, feeling. It's really hard to talk about this concept, but I want to just give you some random fact. When they execute you, they shoot you some bullets to kill you, an execution plan. The Islamic government asks for your family to pay for the bullets. They shoot you. Because it was part of the caliphate, property. This is the fact, this is make me think deep what's happened to us, why we are getting to this religious conflict. That's why we call it we are doomed. In this dome, we doomed. It's bring the meaning to our music, to this Iranian classical music, which we are really deep into it. When I try to recreate some of them, because in my childhood, my parents have these LPs, vinyls, and it was all Iranian classic. So I was growing up with them. From the childhood, I hear them down-tempo funeral doom. They are really classical, like modern, but I hear it in different tempo. It was always in my head till one day after 20 years, I need to go through these notes, go through these melodies and harmony. It was not easy because the first research I did to play, I started crying. I couldn't control myself because it was such a perspective through this inner soul, it was really inspiring. Each song I tried to develop, I stopped the camera because I cannot stop crying. It was taking me to this deep love connection, ancient, poetry, and it was so delicate for me, but at the same time it was painful because it's ruined my day. It was destroying me. But I see it as a more therapy term. So that's the basic we are doing it. It's about ancient, it's about love, folkish, it's about the attitude of the people, it's about the reality.
Okay, so I've seen some photos with people interacting during the band's presentations with paintings, ritual stuff, and without some clothes and with some paintings on the body. So is this a pattern on your performance, your live performances?
We try to bring the theater element with the music, or we could call it visuals. For each performance, we have a theme regarding the set list and the song's theme. We bring ritual performers. They really perform ritual on a stage with us. Some of them include blood, hooks, some cutting. They have the different perspective of human. So they are basically nude with different costumes. They try to represent another part of the human, which we talk about dark love and the dark depth part of this attachment, which is anata, but anatman, but we see it sometimes in different way, which the civilization or religions abuse us. So this performance and motives which designed and choreography through this history and story. And sometimes include prayers, the worshiping mood, which we can talk about later, or the hitting themselves, flagellations. These are part of the lamination and mourning rituals which the humans do through the connection of love. And it could divide it to love of itself or herself, himself, which could interpret it as the ego, love for the biggest concept. Sometimes we refer it to God or goddesses, or refer it to another entity, which in Satanism, some part we refer to as an entity, which is a new development of, that's also we can talk about later. I don't want to confuse with this term, but each performance has a meaning and has a different action and choreography. Mostly have the ritual performers to do the rituals. We choose the people who has this knowledge already, and we ask them to bring those specific rituals, which in some occult part is forbidden to show it in the public. But we have also some terms. We send performers to the ancient countries to go to the temple, get the technique, study that, and bring it back to us on a stage. So we have these both terms. We use the person who has experience, and we ask them for a specific ritual, or we send the person who has interest to same temple to get the degree on it and come back and perform with us. That's the whole concept.
Okay. Wow. Really interesting. Okay, now, which are your metal influences as a musician?
Basically, too much into folk music because it's come from the history and it's come from the narrative part of the humans. For me, it's so valuable because that's like a story, they're telling the story. It's narration. I'm really into those from the folk from all over the world. That's part of my study.
Of your studies.
And for example, when I see a metal band, or specifically in doom metal band, play a song, they referring to some of these roots. That's the interesting part for me. They really catch my attention. And regard the lyrical theme, there's a notation and scales in the music. As I told before, each region has a different taste and color. It's like a flavor, we use in a food. So each region has the beauty. So when the band refer to that roots, that's really interesting for me. And time to time, I hear randomly from different countries, they do this. Quality for me does not matter. Light writing on a show is not matter. The concept for me is really strong. You know, I'm looking for a concept. Because in another hand, we are trying to bring a concept up. We are not technical band.
Okay.
We are not, in modern term, there are many layers to have a specific band notification, but we are not doing that. We try to bring the concept, you know, the flavor. And who brings that? That's really interesting for us.
Okay, good. Okay, now I have a situation that I ask everyone who is interviewed on Matters Law, okay? So, this is a situation. You were a bad guy, got in trouble, and had life imprisonment as a sentence, and you can have nothing with you but 3 albums that you can listen for the rest of your life because one of the guards of the prison is a nice guy and gave you them as a gift. So which albums would you choose and why? This one is one, if I don't ask the people, the fans, the people who are watching Matters a Lot, they get like, oh no, I want to know this about this question.
Well,
The classic.
I'm not sure about the album names because I don't have it in my mind, but
Okay.
the band called Void of Silence, that's get my really attention. The way they have a perspective from the world. Another artist I could call My Dying Bride, which is Godfather.
Yeah.
North, Nortt, which is really down-tempo, painful music, slow. So these 3 I could remember now because I'm listening to the album. They are like a role model of the, I'm not talking about technique, I'm talking about feeling.
Yeah.
You know, they give me that feel which is ancient, which is old.
Oh, nice. Okay. All right. And to finish our interview, would you like to leave a message to your fans or who are watching or listening to us?
The duty I feel, which I'm expecting for each fan or each people have it, is dig more. Forget the shallow surface. We are not simple entity. We are really complicated. So you need to be really complicated to go more deep, find your path, which in other songs we call it inner silence. We are, as a practitioner of Buddhism, we go really deep. The beauty we find is inner silence, and sometimes harshly we could bring it on a stage or in album, but it's come out from the inner point of silence, which is nothing.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Good. All right. So thanks again, Magus, for the interview. Really was really different, a different, interesting interview for me. Really. Thank you so much. And thank you all for watching. And yeah, stay happy.
Stay heavy.